I used to believe that invisibility was my curse. From the outside, anyone would assume my life was perfect. I lived in a $13 million New York mansion, surrounded by marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and gardens manicured by a team of staff. But for me, those golden gates were more prison bars than privilege. My name is Erin Vale, I'm 20 years old, and for as long as I can remember, I have been the forgotten son. I was born 2 years after my brother, Darren, the golden child of the Vale family. Darren, now 22, was tall, confident, and sharp-witted. From his earliest days, he seemed destined for greatness, or at least, that's what our parents believed. My father, Victor Vale, a stern tycoon at 52, never wasted a chance to praise Darren's brilliance. My mother, Moriel, a perfectly poised socialite, mirrored every word. At family dinners, I sat silently at the far end of the polished mahogany table while my father toasted Darren's poetry recitals, his grades, his future. My victories, passing gym class, learning to drive, holding down a part-time job, were treated as laughable small wins. Darren is the future, father would say, smirking, and Erin, well, he's just there. Those words etched themselves into my mind like scars. Darren enjoyed the role of favorite son. His taunts were casual but cutting. When I started working at a diner at 16 to earn independence, he sneered, "Don't bring the grease home, we're not servants." My parents chuckled at his remark, blind to the cruelty. I learned quickly that silence was my shield. But not everyone ignored me. My grandfather, Eldon Vale, the founder of our family company, saw me differently. He built our $75 million empire from nothing but determination, yet he lived humbly, preferring his modest estate to our mansion. During my visits, he never compared me to Darren. Instead, he asked about my dreams. One evening, as we sat on his porch watching the sunset, he told me, "You have something Darren lacks, humility. One day, Erin, you'll know your true worth." When he passed away 2 years ago, I felt like the only person who truly believed in me was gone. Still, his words lingered like a faint light in my shadowed life. By 19, I worked multiple jobs, warehouse shifts, dishwashing, quietly saving while Darren traveled Europe on family money. Father dismissed my work as wasted time. Mother ignored it. Yet, I kept going, fueled by a stubborn desire to prove that I was more than the dumb one. As Darren's Harvard graduation approached, I braced myself. Another grand event, another reminder that I was little more than an afterthought. What I didn't know then was that my grandfather's faith in me was about to ignite a revelation that would change everything. Graduation day for Darren felt more like a royal coronation than a ceremony. Father paced the marble foyer in a tuxedo, rehearsing his speech about Vale excellence. Mother ordered staff to arrange white lilies, chandeliers, and champagne towers for the grand reception. And me? I was given one of Darren's old suits and told to sit quietly in the back row. At Harvard, I watched Darren cross the stage in his flowing gown. Applause thundered, cameras flashed, and my parents beamed as if the world itself had crowned him king. My own claps felt heavy, mechanical, forced. I wasn't his brother in that moment. I was his shadow. But the true spectacle came later at the reception in a glittering New York ballroom. Guests arrived in luxury cars, politicians and moguls filled the room, and chandeliers glowed overhead. I lingered near the back, half hidden behind a towering vase of flowers, while whispers floated through the crowd. "That's the other son." Then Father took the stage. His voice boomed through the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for honoring my brilliant son, Darren Vale." The crowd erupted in cheers. Darren grinned, lifting his champagne glass with the confidence of someone who had already been crowned heir. Father continued, "Tonight, I announce Darren inherits it all, the company, the mansion, our family's future. He is our legacy." Cheers exploded, glasses clinked, and Mother's eyes shone with pride. Darren turned toward me, smirking, raising his glass in a mocking toast to my erasure. I clenched my fists beneath the table, anger and sorrow twisting inside me. Mother brushed past me on her way to the stage, whispering sharply, "Don't ruin this for your brother. Keep to yourself." I almost did. I almost stayed silent, the way I always had. But then, through the blur of applause, a man in a dark suit stepped out of the crowd. His eyes locked onto mine as he slid a thick white envelope onto my table. He leaned in just enough to whisper, "It's time to tell them who you really are." And just like that, he was gone. The envelope felt heavy in my lap, as if it carried not paper, but destiny. My heart pounded. I hesitated, afraid it was a cruel trick. But then I remembered my grandfather's words, "One day, you'll know your true worth." With trembling hands, I tore it open. Inside were documents, official seals, signatures, transfers. My eyes scanned the pages, and my breath caught. My name was written clearly, Aaron Vale, beneficiary. The shares of the $75 million company, the deed to the $13 million mansion, undisclosed accounts, all entrusted to me. Dated, signed, and sealed by Eldon Vale before his passing. And then there was the letter. My grandfather's steady handwriting leapt from the page. "Aaron, if you are reading this, the time has come. I saw in you what others could not. Darren has brilliance, but you have humility. Darren seeks power, you seek purpose. I built this empire not for arrogance, but for resilience. Everything is yours. Never doubt yourself." Tears blurred my vision. For years, I believed I was worthless. But here, in my hands, was proof that the one man who truly saw me had left it all in my care. I tucked the documents into my jacket, my chest pounding with a new kind of strength. For the first time in my life, I didn't want to disappear. I wanted to be seen. As the room buzzed with music and chatter, I rose from my chair. Heads turned as I walked toward the stage. My father frowned in irritation. Darren smirked, assuming I was coming to congratulate him. Mother shook her head in warning. But I didn't stop. I climbed the steps, turned to face the crowd, and took the microphone. My voice trembled at first, but then it grew stronger. "Actually, Father, this moment belongs to me." The ballroom froze. Glasses paused midair. Darren's grin faltered. I pulled the envelope from my jacket and held it high. "These papers are from Grandfather Eldon. He chose me, not Darren. The company, the mansion, everything, he entrusted to me." Gasps rippled through the crowd. My father's face turned red as he lunged toward me, shouting, "Ridiculous." The old man was confused. But before he could grab the papers, a firm voice cut through the chaos. Eldon knew exactly what he was doing. It was the lawyer, the very man who had given me the envelope. He stepped forward, holding duplicates for the crowd to see. In that moment, the years of silence, humiliation, and neglect cracked open. The truth had arrived, and I was no longer invisible. The ballroom erupted in chaos. Guests whispered, phones lit up, flashes captured every moment. The lawyer's voice carried over the noise. Eldon amended his will in full sound mind. He was disheartened by Victor's favoritism and Darren's entitlement. He entrusted the empire to Aaron because of his humility. My father stammered, "Forgery. Lies." But the seals were real, the signatures undeniable. Mother's face drained of color as she clutched Darren's arm. Darren spat, "You? The failure?" I steadied myself and faced them all. "I worked in diners and warehouses while you mocked me. I endured your silence, your laughter. But grandfather saw what you couldn't. Character built in the shadows is stronger than pride built in the spotlight." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Business partners exchanged glances, some even nodded. The empire my father tried to control was slipping from his hands. Darren's smirk dissolved into panic as his inheritance vanished before his eyes. The lawyer added, "Eldon left a clause. Aaron inherits only if he proves worthy by confronting injustice." I had fulfilled that condition simply by standing up. Security escorted my father from the stage as he shouted denials. Darren stormed out, his borrowed crown shattered. Mother lingered, tears streaming, whispering, "We misjudged you." I looked at her with compassion but stood firm. It's too late for apologies, but perhaps not too late for change. From that night forward, I led the company differently. I honored employees, gave to charities, and rebuilt the empire with integrity. Months later, the Vale name thrived, not because of arrogance, but because of humility. Father retired in disgrace. Darren learned humility through hard work. Mother sought healing. And me? I finally saw myself, not as the shadowed son, but as the man my grandfather always believed I could be. The moral is simple. True legacy is not measured in wealth, titles, or favoritism. It is measured in humility, resilience, and the courage to rise above those who doubt you. In the end, the greatest inheritance I received wasn't money or power. It was self-worth.